My name is Chantel Cummings, and that's my maiden name. My married name is Nouvelle Chantel Nouvelle. I was born and raised here in Southern California. Lived here my whole life. It's a little bit boring. My father is retired now. He was a construction, what do you call it? He built the houses, and he actually built most of the city of Carson. Him and his father, that was their profession. They built Carson, Harbor City, many of the apartments down the street they built. So this was his profession, and he lives in Northern California now, and he's retired. My mother has done millions of different professions, everything you can think of, but right now she does, how do you call it, like home health. She takes care of, I have a brother who's handicapped, and he lives at home with her. He's 33, and she takes care of him. And this is like a nurse. She's like a nurse. And so this is her full-time job, taking care of him. And where are my parents from? From here. My father was born and raised in Carson. He went to Carson High. He's Catholic. He went to St. Philomena Church in Carson. His family, on my dad's side, grandparents lived in Carson. I'm not exactly sure where they came from originally. I believe my grandfather is Dutch and German, I think, or Dutch and French. I'm actually not sure. That's pretty bad. I don't remember. And my mom's family basically are from here. My great-grandmother came from Texas. I know that. And I don't remember, though, what mixed. Everybody's very mixed as far as background. We don't have any one or two ethnicities. We're really blended. Yeah, my parents were very young, very, very young. They were married. My father was 18 and my mother was 16 when they got married. And so they were very young. My father was raised Catholic. My mom didn't really follow any particular faith. Now, my great-grandmother, who was my mom's grandmother, so this is fourth generation up, she actually helped raise me a lot when I was very small. And she was Baptist, very, very devout Baptist, which is a branch of Christianity. And so when I was little, I went to Sunday school every weekend. I grew up with the children's Bible. I actually still have the children's Bible when I was little, that I grew up with. She put me in private school at one point, in fourth grade. I went to a Baptist private school. And so that was mostly the only religion I was exposed to, was through great-grandma. My dad didn't really follow. I mean, he was, what did they do that? Communion, or all of the, the things they do in the Catholic Church. I don't really know all of it, but he did all of that, but he never talked to me about it. I never saw him go to church, ever. So just great-grandma, Nana, we called her Nana. She was the one that was really the only religious person in the family. And then my brothers, I have two brothers. My mother was married twice. Her first husband was my father. And so I have a brother who's a year younger than me. And he lives now, he's a contractor. He learned the trade from my dad. And so he does the same thing, builds houses. And he lives in Colorado. My whole family's in Colorado. I'm pretty much here by myself, just my kids. So they're all there. And my other brother, as I said, is handicapped. He's 10 years younger than me. He's from my mom's second marriage. And he's multiple handicap. So those are my brothers. And I do have a half-sister that my father remarried and has a daughter from his second marriage. And I don't really have any communication with her. She lives in Northern California and is pretty isolated. And unfortunately, a few times I've tried to make a connection with her, but it was very difficult. So inshallah, someday that'll happen. But when I would go, the children in our church that my great-grandmother went to, it was very structured. The children actually didn't go into the main prayer area with the adults. We went to what they call Sunday school. So the adults would go in and listen to the preacher and do their thing, and the children would go into a special room with a teacher. And it was very fun. I remember it being a very pleasant time. We read stories, we colored. There were a lot of books to color the stories from mostly it was just the beginning of the Christian Bible stories, Noah and the Ark, and we would color the animals and the boat, and it was this simple. They made it a very simple, the stories for us, and it was nice. It was pleasant. I have very good memories of going there. I didn't really understand it being anything, I don't know how to say this the right way, but I didn't get a concept of God at all. I just got a concept of stories, that we were being taught stories from a book, and I understood that. And it wasn't until I got a little older and I actually wanted to figure out what were these stories about. Why were we learning this? And I started reading the Bible we had at home. Then I started, oh, this is actually, people believe this. and then I really, that's when I really started reading the real Bible. And the more I read, the more it just seemed like stories to me. I couldn't connect a religion, a belief in a higher power with what I was reading. Just that I was very young. I went to Sunday school from, I think, maybe 5 years old until 8 or 9 years old. And then my mother got a divorce from my father, and then she remarried. And when she remarried, this husband did not like the relationship between my great-grandmother and anybody. He wanted to take my mother and my brother and take us away from her. He didn't like her having any influence in our life. He wanted to be the boss and the control, and so he took us away. So I stopped going. This is when I stopped going. I didn't go to the private school anymore, and I stopped all of that. So that's pretty much when my religious training finished, when I was very young, 8 or 9 years old. And I was on my own after that too. Just very, I actually have a problem with my memory. I have a medical problem that affects my memory, so I don't have a lot of memories of that time. Just singing and songs and.
You were singing?
Yeah, we used to sing. We had the children would sing, and then when I went to private school, I was in the choir. They had a choir, and we made a record actually, and of religious songs. I just, it was very pleasant. I don't have any bad memories of that time, but again, there was nothing that made a connection. I honestly didn't know what God was. I knew they talked about it, but it didn't make any connection to me at all. I knew my prayers. I knew how to pray. And if I would get afraid of the dark or something, I would say the prayer, because that's what my great-grandmother told me to do. But I didn't know what I was I speaking to what? I didn't know. No, I would say it more like you would. I don't know. But I didn't make a connection to any power or any creator. I had no concept of that. She said if I was feeling scared that you say a prayer and that God protects you. But I didn't get what she meant God. What is that, like a ghost? Or I had no idea. I had the picture in the book of a person with a beard and a white dress and a gold all around him on a big chair. This is what I saw. And I thought, no. And my mind didn't accept that. But I would do it anyway, because since little, this is what I was taught, to say these prayers. So I would do it. I knew it was a good thing. It wasn't bad to say a prayer. But I didn't understand why. No, God. We had pictures of God.
No.
Yeah, when we were little. Not Jesus, no. Jesus was different. Jesus had brown hair. And Jesus was in a different kind of thing. They would give us a representation. It was in the color books. And yeah, I mean, we had an image of what was God. Yeah. Really. A man, it was a white man too, which is funny because Jesus is brown, but God was white. So I don't know. I was little, very little. And this church is no longer there anymore. The school that I went to is gone. They're not there anymore. But I don't know. I think this was just for the kids. I don't think this is anything that the adult. I've never seen it since, just in Sunday school. And just in the color books, the books that we would, color for. I think it was to give children an idea of an important bigger than everybody, to try to give us some idea in our mind of what was God. And this was what they did.